Ethan Blackwood stared out at the relentless pulse of New York City from his penthouse high above it all. Millions moved below, each with their own story, their own purpose. Ethan had billions, power that echoed in boardrooms and headlines, yet he felt a hollow ache that money couldn't touch. Dates were a parade of dollar signs in disguise, smiles that faded when the credit card was declined. He craved something real, someone who saw past the fortune, the facade. He needed to know if genuine love existed, untainted by greed. Weeks turned into a plan, audacious and risky. He'd vanish, become ordinary. He'd test the world, strip away the billionaire, and see if he was still worthy of love. Secrecy was paramount. Trust agreements were locked down with his inner circle, ensuring his sudden absence wouldn't trigger alarms. He meticulously organized everything until he was ready to disappear. He chose a quiet California coastal town, a place where anonymity was possible. He rented a small beachside cottage, became Ethan Bell, and landed a job at a local coffee shop. Trading tailored suits for worn jeans, slicked back hair for a casual style, he started to blend in. The cafe was a world away from his corporate towers, serving lattes instead of making deals, washing dishes instead of signing contracts. The work was humbling, a stark contrast, but it offered a strange sense of liberation. Then came Maya. She rushed into the cafe one blustery morning, battling the wind and rain with a tattered umbrella. Ethan, behind the counter, noticed her instantly. Not because of designer clothes or perfect makeup, but her smile, genuine and warm as she ordered coffee and a pastry. Maya owned a struggling flower shop down the street, a legacy from her mother battling the tide of online giants. Their connection was gradual, built on daily coffee orders and shared smiles. Maya visited the cafe every morning, a brief exchange with Ethan becoming a highlight of his day. She was different from anyone he'd known in his gilded life, authentic, without angles. She treated him like just another face in town, and that simplicity captivated him. He learned about Maya's flower shop, its precarious existence against corporate competition. He saw her passion for her mother's memory, each bloom carrying a piece of her heart. Her resilience, her refusal to give up, drew him in deeper. He started spending his days off at the flower shop, learning names of flowers, awkwardly arranging bouquets, discreetly trying to boost her business. Maya welcomed his help, surprised by his enthusiasm. Their relationship blossomed slowly, in shared laughter and quiet moments. These moments felt more real than anything in Ethan's past. He felt closer to finding what he craved, true love, free from ulterior motives. But the lie loomed, a shadow over their growing intimacy. He was terrified of the truth shattering everything. How long could he maintain the charade? Yet, revealing himself felt like a betrayal of the very experiment he'd started. The tension grew. Every shared glance, every heartfelt conversation deepened his guilt. He was falling for Maya, hard. His old life, the power and luxury, faded into a distant memory. He found joy in small victories. A satisfied customer leaving Maya's shop with a bouquet, the scent of roses and lilies filling the air. Maybe authenticity, simplicity was the key he'd been missing. As their connection deepened, the internal conflict intensified. Lying felt like a betrayal, yet confessing risked losing Maya forever. Each act of kindness, each shared laugh, tightened the knot of anxiety in his stomach. He pictured her reaction, the hurt, the anger. How could he explain deceiving her so completely? He was trapped, his own experiment backfiring. Maya, meanwhile, was becoming more comfortable with Ethan. She knew little of his past, but saw him as kind, hardworking, supportive. His dedication to her, to the flower shop, touched her deeply. She started opening up, sharing childhood memories, the grief of losing her mother, her dreams of expanding the shop. These intimate moments only amplified Ethan's guilt. He listened intently, knowing the fragile bubble of their happiness could burst at any moment. He started pulling back, afraid of accidental exposure. He dodged questions about his past, deflected conversations about money, created an emotional distance. Maya noticed a subtle shift in his demeanor. She sensed a hidden part of him, a secret he guarded closely. She trusted him, but a seed of doubt began to sprout. The breaking point arrived unexpectedly. An old business acquaintance, unaware of Ethan's disguise, arrived in town, looking to purchase land. He recognized Ethan instantly. Despite the casual clothes and beard, he called out his real name on the street. Ethan froze, adrenaline surging. He managed to deflect the encounter, feigning confusion, quickly escaping the awkward situation. But the encounter rattled him. It was a stark reminder of the precariousness of his charade. Maya noticed Ethan's sudden tension, his increased anxiety. He became withdrawn, preoccupied. Though still kind, a wall had risen between them. She sensed he was carrying a heavy burden, something beyond a troubled past. She felt a growing unease, a question mark hovering over their relationship. The lightness, the easy joy began to fade, replaced by a subtle mistrust. Small inconsistencies in Ethan's story started to surface. Vague answers, deflected questions, a constant redirection when conversations delved too deep. Maya knew something was being concealed, but the magnitude of the deception was unimaginable. Ethan felt the weight of her unspoken questions, the growing distance. The lie was suffocating him. He had to confess, but how? How could he reveal the truth without destroying everything? One evening, Maya invited him to dinner at her cottage. The atmosphere was warm, intimate. Over homemade pasta, Maya looked directly at him, her eyes searching his. "Ethan," she said softly, "who are you really?" The question hit him like a physical blow. Silence hung heavy in the air. Maya's gentle tone didn't mask the pain in her eyes, the quiet demand for honesty. Ethan's heart pounded. He desperately wanted to confess, to unburden himself, but the fear of losing Maya paralyzed him. Doubt and terror warred within him. Maya waited, her heart racing, hoping for truth, bracing for the unknown. She liked Ethan, maybe more than liked, but the uncertainty was eroding her trust. The question hung between them, unresolved, a silent chasm widening. When Maya asked, "Who are you really?" the weight of his deception became unbearable. This was the moment he dreaded. His hands tightened, heart hammered against his ribs. Maya watched, expectant. Truth hung in the balance, but fear tipped the scales. In a split second, he chose the lie again, weaving a new story, deeper into the web. "Maya," he began, his voice strained. "I'm not who you think I am. Not entirely." He hesitated, crafting the narrative on the fly. "My name is Ethan Bell, but I'm running from something." He invented a past, a businessman from Chicago, betrayal, financial ruin. "I got caught in something bad, lost everything. He gestured around the small cottage. This was the only way to start over." Maya listened intently, absorbing his words. A dramatic revelation, yes, but somehow believable. His guarded demeanor, his evasiveness about the past, it all clicked into place. He'd been hiding something, and this story, however dramatic, offered an explanation. Ethan pressed on, watching her reaction. "I didn't want to drag you into it, didn't want you to worry or get suspicious. But the longer it went on, the more I felt I had to tell you something. I just wanted a fresh start. And you were the first person who made me feel like that was possible." The lie flowed smoothly, practiced now, but the weight of it was immense. He felt himself sinking deeper into deceit. But then he saw Maya's expression soften, a flicker of empathy in her eyes. She believed him, at least for now. "I understand," Maya said, her voice low, laced with understanding. "Starting over, it's not easy, especially when you're carrying something from your past." She paused, a hint of sadness in her voice. "I just wish you'd told me sooner." Ethan sighed, a mixture of guilt and relief washing over him. "I know, and I'm sorry. I wasn't honest from the beginning. I was afraid of losing you. You're the first person in a long time who's made me feel hopeful." Maya offered a small, hesitant smile, but a distance remained, a shadow of doubt. His words were convincing, but the wall of lies he'd built was still standing. She could forgive the initial deception, perhaps, but trust would take time. Even with his explanation, something felt incomplete. In the days that followed, Ethan maintained the charade, the cafe, the flower shop, the careful performance. Their closeness returned, but with an undercurrent of unease. He knew the lie was unsustainable. Each shared moment, each tender touch, felt tainted by the deception. Maya, meanwhile, watched him more closely. His story explained some things, but something still felt off. He was kind, helpful, but moments of distance remained, fleeting glimpses of a different Ethan. She'd catch him staring into the distance, lost in thought, a weight he carried that his fabricated past couldn't fully explain. One afternoon, at the flower shop, Maya asked casually, "Do you ever think about going back to your old life, Ethan, if things got better?" The question caught him off guard. He hesitated, searching for the right words. "I don't know," he finally said. "The life I had, it wasn't healthy. Even if things resolved, I don't think I'd want to go back. Here, with you, I found something much more valuable." Maya smiled, appreciating the sentiment, but the doubt lingered. She wanted to believe him, but something held her back. Despite the lingering questions, her attraction to Ethan was undeniable. They continued spending time together, talking about dreams, hopes, a future that felt both real and fragile. As Ethan delved deeper into this new life, a transformation began. His old world of luxury and power seemed distant, unreal. The simplicity, the genuine connection with Maya reshaped his perspective. He realized true value wasn't in possessions, but in moments, in relationships, in a life lived with purpose. But the fear of exposure remained, a constant undercurrent of anxiety. He knew the truth would eventually surface, shattering the fragile trust he was slowly rebuilding. He was trapped in his own web, the way out obscured, the cost of the lie growing with each passing day. After his fabricated story, their relationship shifted, moving at a slower pace, the direct tension eased, replaced by a cautious intimacy. The lie had bought him time, a temporary truce allowing them to reconnect, albeit on a more fragile foundation. Full trust remained distant, a bridge yet to be rebuilt. Ethan continued his routine, the cafe, the flower shop, the quiet dedication to Maya and her business. The simplicity of their shared moments began to forge a connection unlike anything he'd known. He clung to the hope that time would work in his favor, that he could find a way to reveal the truth without losing her. Maya, still harboring a thread of distrust, found herself increasingly drawn to Ethan's unwavering presence, his quiet support of her mother's legacy. She began to relax in his company, conversations about the future, her dreams for the flower shop, becoming more frequent, more real. They talked about expansion, local events, even whispered dreams of settling down, building a life together in the quiet coastal town. One sunny afternoon, amidst a large wedding order, Maya paused, watching Ethan work beside her. His focus, his quiet dedication, brought a smile to her face. "You know," she said, laughing softly, watching him wrestle with a wilting peony, "you're actually good at this." Ethan smiled back, a genuine warmth in his eyes. "Maybe I've found my calling. Who knew flowers could be so rewarding?" Maya laughed, a light, genuine sound, but a new spark ignited in her eyes. She was seeing Ethan differently, not just as a man escaping a troubled past, but as someone who could be a part of her future. His involvement in her life, his genuine care, began to chip away at her lingering fears. Casual cafe meetings, afternoons at the flower shop, evolved into seaside walks, comfortable silences, shared laughter. The emotional and physical closeness deepened, organically, gradually. The space created by the initial lie began to fill with sincere moments of connection. One quiet evening, closing up the flower shop, Ethan suggested a walk on the pier, sunset watching. Maya hesitated, then accepted, a hopeful smile gracing her lips. They walked side by side, the sky ablaze with orange and pink. Reaching the pier's end, they sat on a wooden bench, the gentle rhythm of waves creating a peaceful backdrop. Maya spoke first, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "You know, Ethan," she began, her voice soft, "I never thought someone like you would come into my life. I was so focused on the shop, on Mom's legacy, sometimes I forget about myself." Ethan turned to her, tenderness in his eyes. "That's one of the things I admire most about you, Maya. You're strong, determined, you care about what truly matters." Maya smiled, a hint of sadness in her expression. "I do care, and that's why sometimes I still worry about you. I know you're running from something. I try not to let it get in the way of us, but I can't help wondering, well, if one day you'll just leave, disappear." Ethan felt a pang of guilt, the direct consequence of his lies. Her doubt, however subtle, was a wound he'd inflicted. He gently took her hand, turning to face her. "I'm not going anywhere, Maya. I'm here, and I don't want to leave. I don't want to run anymore." She looked into his eyes, searching for the sincerity she desperately craved. "I want to believe that, Ethan. I really do." Days unfolded similarly, growing closeness, shared moments, the unresolved past lingering like a shadow. One evening, after a long day at the shop, Maya pulled out a bottle of wine. A special occasion treat. Laughter and easy conversation flowed, the romantic tension palpable. Ethan looked at Maya, a sudden impulse taking hold. He reached for her hand, her eyes meeting his, a mix of anticipation and affection. Without hesitation, he gently pulled her closer, their lips meeting in a soft, meaningful kiss. In that moment, the world faded. No lies, no secrets, just the genuine desire to be together. When the kiss ended, Maya looked at him. A gentle smile, a confirmation that despite everything, she was willing to stay. For a fleeting moment, Ethan felt a peace he hadn't known in years, but deep down, the truth remained, unresolved, a shadow on their burgeoning happiness. After that first kiss, their relationship deepened, moments more intense, more meaningful, affectionate touches, lingering glances, the quiet joy of their simple life. Their bond strengthened. Ethan, still burdened by his lie, began to see himself differently. The cold, isolated billionaire faded, replaced by someone capable of genuine connection. He'd always been guarded, learned early that material success equated to respect, control. But Maya changed everything. He found deeper meaning in simple things: cafe conversations, flower shop laughter, shared sunsets. Small joys transformed him, revealed a capacity for love he hadn't known he possessed. Maya, resilient and determined, had always carried the weight of her mother's legacy. The flower shop was more than a business. It was her heart. Life hadn't been easy, but she held on to hope, to the beauty she cultivated in her shop. Ethan's arrival was unexpected, a mystery wrapped in kindness. Despite the secrets, she sensed a shared understanding, a connection that transcended words. Even with doubts, she couldn't deny the way he made her feel. Seen, valued, truly understood. Their contrasting worlds, billionaire and florist, didn't divide them, they united them. Grace taught him honesty, simplicity, the value of hard work. He showed her that even amidst adversity, love could bloom in unexpected places. Their relationship deepened, reliance growing. Grace, with her gentle strength, helped Ethan confront his flaws, seek redemption not in grand gestures but in daily sincerity. One afternoon, arranging flowers, Maya watched Ethan, a soft smile playing on her lips. "You've changed," she said quietly, "since you came here." Ethan looked up, surprised. "Changed? How?" Maya sighed softly. "When you arrived, you seemed to carry the world on your shoulders. Secrets. I know you still have them, but you seem lighter now, like you found something you were looking for." He reflected on her words. She was right. Control had been his driving force, but now peace came from letting go, embracing the unexpected. Grace was right. He had found something he hadn't realized he was searching for, the simple beauty of a life lived with purpose. Grace, too, had changed. Independent as she was, she'd always carried the burden of the flower shop alone. With Ethan, she felt a shared weight, a partnership. For the first time, she could share fears, dreams, hopes with someone who truly understood, truly supported her. The townspeople noticed the change in Ethan. At the cafe, he was no longer an outsider, but one of them. Ethan Bell, the ordinary coffee shop worker, was accepted, valued. Anonymity offered a freedom he hadn't known in his gilded life. No expectations, no judgments, just simple human connection. One quiet evening, outside the flower shop, watching the streetlights flicker on, Maya broke the silence. "I never thought I'd find someone like you," she said softly. "Someone who truly understands me, someone willing to stay." Ethan's heart raced. This was the moment, the perfect opportunity for honesty, but the fear of losing her, the new lie he'd woven, still held him captive. He hadn't found the courage to confess his true identity, the secret hanging heavy between them. "I never thought I'd find someone like you either, Maya," he replied, taking her hand, his voice tender. "You've changed everything for me." Maya smiled gently, squeezing his hand. In that moment, they were just two ordinary people, seeking love, comfort, connection. But beneath the surface, the weight of Ethan's secret grew heavier, a ticking clock counting down to the inevitable truth. He could only pray that when the truth finally surfaced, Grace could find it in her heart to forgive him. The relationship blossomed, but the truth loomed, a constant threat. The breaking point arrived unexpectedly, a calm morning at the flower shop. An unfamiliar customer entered, well-dressed, out of place in the small town. Maya was helping a regular, Ethan in the back, arranging lilies. The man's eyes widened as he spotted Ethan. "James Donovan?" The name echoed through the shop. Maya turned, confused, never having heard that name. Ethan froze, panic rising. The man was a former associate, knew his true identity. He tried to deflect, but it was too late. "I can't believe it," the man chuckled, disbelief coloring his voice. "What are you doing here, hiding out in some small town, after everything you've built?" Maya stared at Ethan, confusion turning to dawning horror. "James?" she whispered. "What is he talking about?" Ethan's world crumbled. This was his worst fear realized. No more running, no more lies. Truth and its consequences were upon him. "Maya, I can explain," he began, desperate, but her face, stricken, told him the damage was done. Trust, fragile and newly rebuilt, shattered again. She backed away, pain etched on her face. Explain what? Who are you, really? Her voice trembled, anger and betrayal warring within her. Ethan looked around, air thick with unspoken accusations. The stranger, realizing the chaos he'd unleashed, stood awkwardly by. Maya waited, demanding truth. My real name is James Donovan, he confessed, voice tight. I'm a billionaire. I own several companies. Everything I told you about my past, the financial trouble, it was a lie. He watched her recoil, the devastating impact of his words. I made it up, so you wouldn't know who I really was. Maya stumbled back as if struck. Her mind raced, processing the impossible. The man she'd fallen for, shared her life with, was a fabrication. He'd lied. You lied to me, she whispered, pain raw and unmistakable. All this time, you pretended to be someone else? James stepped towards her, desperate. Maya, I did it because I wanted someone to love me for who I am, not for my money. I knew if you knew the truth, everything would be different. I just wanted something real, something true. But Maya couldn't hear him. Betrayal cut too deep. You built our relationship on lies, James. How can I trust you now? How do I know what was real? What was just part of your act? He reached for her again, pleading, Grace, please. Everything I feel for you, it's real. The lie was about who I was, but never about my feelings. I love you, Grace. That was never a lie. She shook her head, tears welling. I don't know if I can believe you. Without another word, Maya turned, fled the flower shop, leaving James standing alone, powerless, watching the love of his life walk away. Silence descended, crushing. The stranger, finally understanding, mumbled an apology and quickly left. James stood alone, the weight of his deception suffocating him. He had lost her. The pain was unbearable, but deserved, the consequence of his choices, his lies. Days were bleak. He continued at the cafe, a ghost of his former self. Grace was gone, a void in his life. She avoided him, and he respected her space, knowing pressure would only worsen the chasm between them. The town, once a refuge, now felt like a prison, a constant reminder of his failures. Would he ever have a chance to make things right? Earning Grace's forgiveness felt impossible, yet giving up was unthinkable. His love for her was real, even if his lies had poisoned their relationship. Grace, meanwhile, was adrift in confusion. Betrayal warred with lingering love. Distance was necessary, a space to untangle the web of lies and genuine moments. The upheaval had shattered their fragile bond, seemingly beyond repair. Yet, deep down, both knew their story wasn't over. Could they rebuild trust, or was everything irrevocably broken? James knew he had to act, to prove himself worthy of forgiveness. But how? Trust was shattered, the foundation crumbled. He spent days wrestling with redemption, seeking a way to show Grace the depth of his remorse, the genuineness of his love. Then, an idea sparked. He knew the flower shop was Grace's lifeblood, her mother's legacy, her unwavering passion. Helping her strengthen that dream, anonymously, might be a way to begin amends. Discreetly, he used his resources. No grand gestures, no seeking recognition, just quiet, behind-the-scenes support. He launched a targeted marketing campaign, boosting the flower shop's visibility, connecting her with premium suppliers, negotiating better rates. The impact was immediate. Orders surged, new customers flocked to the shop, the business thriving in ways Maya hadn't dared to dream. She was bewildered, overjoyed, but a nagging suspicion grew. The sudden turnaround felt orchestrated. One day, overhearing customers praise the shop's new website, a comment about the man behind the campaign pricked her attention. Man behind the campaign? She hadn't hired anyone. Discreet inquiries led her back to James. He was behind it all. The marketing, the suppliers, the surge in business. Silent, selfless help, even after the devastation of his lies. Shock mixed with a confusing wave of emotions. He was still helping her, anonymously, despite everything. Driven by a whirlwind of feelings, Grace went to the cafe that evening. Seeing him, a knot tightened in her stomach. Hurt warred with a reluctant acknowledgement of his selfless act. James, seeing her enter, hope flared. He hadn't seen her in days, her presence a fragile promise. Nervously, he approached her. Grace, he began softly. I didn't know if you'd ever come back. Grace's expression was a complex mix of emotions. I found out, she said directly, about the flower shop, what you did. Did you think I wouldn't? James lowered his head, shame mixed with a strange relief. I just wanted to help. I know how much it means to you. I didn't want it to be about me, didn't want you to think I was buying forgiveness. Maya watched him, considering his words. Why, James? After everything, why keep helping me? He looked up, sincerity etched on his face. Because I love you, Grace. Even if you never want to see me again, I wanted to do something for you. Something that showed what you and your flower shop mean to me. The lie was unforgivable, but helping you, that was something I could do honestly. A wave of emotion washed over Maya. Pain lingered, but something else too. A sense that beneath the lies, James truly cared. Mistakes, yes, devastating ones, but his actions now spoke of remorse, of a desire to make amends. I'm still hurt, James, Grace said, her voice softer. You lied. In a way I never expected. But you did it because you were searching for something real. I don't know if I can just forget everything, but I see you're trying. James stepped closer, regret and hope mingling in his eyes. Grace, I will keep trying, every day. I won't give up on us. I made a terrible mistake, but my love for you, it's real. And if you give me a chance, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make things right. Silence stretched, heavy with unspoken emotions. Grace looked at James, at the vulnerable, sincere man before her, and sighed, a small release of pent-up tension. I can't promise to forget everything, James. Not all at once, but maybe I can try to forgive. It'll take time, but if you keep being honest, maybe we can find a way to rebuild what we had. Relief washed over James, gratitude flooding his heart. Not full forgiveness, not yet, but a start, a glimmer of hope. He knew the road ahead was long, arduous, but that small opening in Grace's heart was all he needed to keep fighting. With Grace's tentative promise, a fragile second chance, James felt a renewed spirit ignite within him. Rebuilding trust would be a marathon, not a sprint, but he was committed to proving his love, his transformation. Patience, honesty, small acts of devotion. These became his tools for healing the wounds of his past lies. Months unfolded, a slow, deliberate dance of rebuilding. James remained present, honest, dedicated. He worked at the flower shop, no longer hiding, his efforts transparent, genuine. Grace watched, wary at first, the scars of betrayal slow to fade. But each day with James, each act of kindness chipped away at her hurt, fostering a hesitant belief that perhaps, just perhaps, he deserved a second chance. One day, amidst the vibrant chaos of wedding flower preparations, James paused, watching Grace, a soft smile playing on his lips. She was at ease, immersed in her passion, and in that moment, he knew he couldn't wait any longer. His love for her was undeniable, and he needed to declare it definitively, irrevocably. That afternoon, he slipped away, planning a moment, a gesture, worthy of her, worthy of their fragile, resilient love. A candlelit dinner at the pier, their pier, the place that had witnessed stolen moments, whispered confessions, shared silences, sunset, romance, a question. That evening, he invited Grace for a walk, a familiar routine, a walk like they used to take before the lies, before the storm. Unsuspecting, Grace agreed. They walked side by side, easy conversation flowing until they reached the pier. Then she stopped, breath catching in her throat. The pier transformed. Soft lights twinkled, illuminating a table draped in white linen, adorned with flowers, her flowers. The gentle lap of waves, the fiery sunset painting the sky, created a scene of breathtaking romance. James, what is this? Grace whispered, surprise and emotion lacing her voice. James turned to her, nervous but determined. I wanted to show you, Maya, he said, his voice thick with emotion, how much you mean to me, and I wanted to ask you something, very important. He guided her to the table where a small bouquet, carefully arranged, awaited her. Maya, still reeling, sat down, her gaze fixed on him, expectant. James knelt before her, heart pounding, taking her hand in his. Maya, he began, his voice trembling slightly. From the moment I met you, my life changed, in ways I never imagined. You showed me the value of simple things, the power of honesty, the meaning of true love. I know I've made mistakes, lied, hurt you, but every day, by your side, I've been trying to become a better man. He paused, meeting her gaze, a mixture of hope and vulnerability in his eyes. Maya, I can't imagine my life without you. And today, here, in this place that means so much to us, I want to ask you to spend the rest of your life with me. He reached into his pocket, producing a small velvet box, opening it to reveal a delicate diamond ring catching the soft light. Maya, will you marry me? Maya's breath hitched. Shock gave way to a flood of emotions. Tears welled in her eyes. Never had she expected this, not so soon, not after everything. But looking at James, kneeling before her, sincerity radiating from him, she saw the man who had changed, who had fought for her forgiveness, for a second chance. She knew the road had been rocky, fraught with pain, but what they had, what they were rebuilding, was precious, real. James, she began, voice choked with emotion, tears now streaming down her face. I don't know what to say. James held her hand tighter, waiting, heart in his throat. Say you love me, he whispered, his voice husky with emotion, and that you'll give me the chance to make you happy. Forever. A tearful laugh escaped Maya's lips, a sound of pure joy and relief. She nodded, tears flowing freely. I love you, James, she choked out. I've always loved you, even when I was angry, hurt, afraid to trust again. And yes, I will. I will marry you. Relief, pure, unadulterated joy, surged through James. He stood, pulling Maya into a tight embrace, her joyful sobs muffled against his chest. The sunset blazed behind them, a perfect backdrop for their renewed promise. There, on the pier that had witnessed the fragile blossoming of their romance, they sealed their commitment with a kiss, knowing that despite every obstacle, true love in its messy, complicated, and ultimately triumphant way had won. Wedding preparations began quickly. The small coastal town, their sanctuary, their place of second chances, became the perfect setting for their new beginning. A simple ceremony in the flower shop garden, surrounded by blooms that had witnessed their love story unfold. On the wedding day, as Maya walked down the aisle, surrounded by a fragrant sea of flowers, James watched, tears blurring his vision. He'd never felt such profound happiness, such overwhelming luck. The woman he loved, the woman who had transformed his life, was about to become his wife. Every struggle, every act of redemption had led to this perfect, improbable moment. Reaching the altar, Maya took his hand, her smile radiant. You are the best thing that's ever happened to me, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Maya's eyes sparkled with happiness. And you showed me, she replied, her voice soft, that even amidst difficulty, love can bloom. Before their loved ones, friends, the entire town that had embraced them, James and Maya exchanged vows, promises of love, loyalty, forever. The billionaire who'd pretended to be poor, seeking true love, had found it, and something even more profound. Peace, purpose, a love that had weathered storms and emerged stronger, brighter, more real than he could have ever imagined. Their journey, filled with deception and forgiveness, lies and love, had reached its perfect culmination. James and Maya, united in marriage, stood ready to embark on their new chapter, hand in hand, hearts intertwined, knowing that together they could face anything.